Hey everyone, Maude here from Extra Attackers, doing something a little bit different today, which is NHL 24 GM mode. I have a little bit of a weird obsession with this game mode in the EA Sports games. I play it way too much. The last couple of years, the game mode has kind of been the same. They're not really changing it up much, so I'm at the point of just, buying the game on sale or streaming it on EA Play once they eventually put it on there, but they had it on sale for the winter sale for Christmas, and I figured since the Sens are in absolute turmoil, it would be kind of fun to do a Sens GM mode and kind of see what I can tweak with the roster and what EA Sports how they think this team will simulate. So I thought it would be fun to kind of do a little bit of a recap of what's happened in this save file so far. As you can see in the top right corner, we're at the start of the 2025 to 26 season, so I've gone ahead a little bit already before I decided to make a little video sort of recapping. And as you can see at the bottom left, we are one game into this season, a 4-3 win against the Flyers. I did play that game against the AI, but normally I don't play any of the games at all. That's the only one I've played. I just set the roster, set the lines, and simulate, and then kind of micromanage the lineup when there's injuries and stuff, and manage like which goalie is starting and stuff like that. So I'm a pure simulation head. If you've ever seen like 2BC Productions GM modes, I grew up watching his videos, and that's kind of how I play GM mode as well. So anything that you see in the stats for the players or the team record or anything like that is not influenced by me playing the game. It is entirely EA's simulation, which I think is kind of fun to see sort of like what they predict, how certain players will perform and how certain players will grow. So the history so far in this save file is that we finished fourth last in the first season, which is the real life season happening now, 2023 to 24. We finished fourth last, and we kept the fourth overall pick. I did not influence this whatsoever, other than trading Tarasenko and Kubalik just right at the beginning of the season instead of waiting till the deadline, because the Sens have a horrible record in real life, and I wanted to replicate that in the game. So I got rid of the guys that we would be getting rid of at the deadline just right at the beginning to make us bad right away, which influenced it a little bit, I would have to say. One thing that I found particularly interesting, though, as I open up the roster here, I'm going to go to the goalies quickly, is that Korpisalo, who has been really struggling in real life, if you take a look at his stats here in this first season, he might be simming even worse in this game, or in the first year, than he is in real life. So the 2023 to 24 season, he only got 15 wins in 50 games, 885 save percentage, which is pretty similar to real life to how it's going. So I feel like EA's simulation was pretty spot on with that one too. And Anton Forsberg is gone at this point, but his stats weren't that much better in that season either. So horrible goaltending, horrible defense. We were able to score some goals at least, ended up with the fourth overall pick in the draft for that season, which I think is probably pretty likely to happen in real life at this point. With that fourth overall pick, though, I'll show you the selection, because he's now on the team here, is Ivan Demidov. I decided to pick him. He's listed as a right wing / center, which I liked because he could potentially replace Giroux on our first line in the future in that right wing spot, or if I move out a center like Norris or someone like that, it seems like he could play center as well. Not the greatest face-off rating, but maybe that will grow. The one questionable thing here is that I believe his name is Artem Levshunov. He went 5th overall, and he is a right-handed defenseman, and I wonder if maybe I should have picked him. I think that Ivan Demidov will be a really good pick. He fits this coach's line scheme quite well, so once he raises his overall and gets up to that first line, he's going to fit perfectly if you look at that. And he's got these X factors, and players can grow X factors now too, so he'll probably get a bunch more. But yeah, he was my selection at 4th overall. Could have gone with a defenseman, but I didn't. So that'll be interesting to see if Levshunov gets really good. I think he was drafted by the Coyotes at 5th overall. It'll be interesting to see if I should have picked him instead. But hopefully Demidov does pretty good for us now. So this going into 2025-26 will be his rookie season. He spent the next season in Russia here, as you can see, and then we're bringing him in here. I played that first game, and he managed to get him an assist in his first NHL game, which is nice. Starting him on the fourth line, but I think he's on the second power play unit as well. Yeah, the point was on the power play. So easing him in, just because we actually have a pretty deep forward core at this point compared to what it is in real life. So I might as well just get into the lineup now. We still have the classic Tkachuk, Giroux, and Stützle on the first line. With that +5, I have to do it. We'll take a look at Brady. He sims quite well. Like, if you compare this 23-24 to his real life stats in 22-23, it's like almost identical, and it's definitely better stats than he's going to finish with in real life, as he's sort of slumping this year. And then a new career high in points in the next year, 92 points, which spoilers, we did actually make the playoffs in 24-25, but I'll get to that later, as it's still kind of recapping the first season. Tim Stützle as well set a new career high in points with 93 after having kind of a down year. Again, like he sort of is in real life, at least in the goal scoring category. So he started trending back upward again, which is great. Claude Giroux, though. Claude Giroux is amazing in this game. He sims so well. 90 points in last season, in 24-25. Like, I think... Is that a career high? Let's scroll them back. No, he had 102 points one other time, but that's... And 93 points. But that's the third best season of his career in this simulation. So if he could do that in real life, that would be awesome. But of course, age 37, and you see that top 9 forward potential, his overall is going to start to drop, which is the main reason that I drafted Demidov with that right wing and C capability, right? So... Eventually, in the future, you'll have Demidov going up there, and it will still be a +5 after Giroux retires or moves down the lineup as his overall drops. Josh Norris is a bit of a mixed bag in this game. He doesn't score nearly as many goals as he did in that one season in real life. I think the first year, 25 goals, 25 assists, 50 points is pretty similar to his point pace in real life, and then he was basically the exact same the next year, but of course more games missed to injury, which seems to also be happening in real life a lot. So he's a guy that with the expensive salary, almost 8 million here, I think all the cap hits are a little bit smaller in this game because they don't have LTIR, so the game had to do some stupid math to set the Sens cap hits under the cap. Under the cap total at the beginning, so he's a little bit cheaper than 8 million, but still at 7.7, he might be someone that's eventually on the chopping block, especially because I'm playing him at left wing now, because Shane Pinto is so good at center. Now 88 overall, he had I didn't scratch him in the first year, even though he was supposed to be scratched for the first 41 games with that suspension, but he played, he got 40 points in 70 games, and then improved quite a bit the next year with 56 points. So he is going to be fully in that second line role this year. He was last year too, 17 minutes time on ice. So I like that. And then of course, Batherson is still here. 73 points last year, career high. He seems to be simulating very well. Not scoring too many goals, but he racks up the assists. So that works with Pinto and Norris because they can score goals. Pinto as well, I think I got him to a pretty good contract extension. Yeah, I extended him 2 years at 2.5 million, which now he's 88 overall. He's probably going to have a big season and then we'll have to pay him. So that should be really interesting. Third line, you have Ridley Gregg, obviously. He simmed horribly in the first year, 5 goals in 82 games. I think he already has more than 5 goals in real life, so I thought that was really funny. 33 points the next year, so he's trending upward. He's probably going to stay kind of on the third line on this team. Maybe he could eventually move up to the top 6 because he does have good line fits. So that could be an option. And I have him signed to a pretty good deal, 3 years at 2.2 remaining. Matthew Joseph is still here too. He simmed really well in that first season with 55 points, which again is a funny thing from the simulation that they got right. He's doing awesome in real life, and he did even better maybe than he will finish with his stats in real life in the sim. A bit of a hit to his points the next season, but he got less ice time just because of the players that I brought in. So and then he's not going to be on the power play anymore this season, so his point totals are probably really going to drop. You see the 16 power play points last year out of his 39 points, so he might be someone that stops producing, but at least with 1 year remaining, if he doesn't simulate too well without power play time, I can move on from him. And he would still be on the power play, but I got to get Demidov in there, and I got to get him some point scoring. At 82 overall, I didn't want to start Demidov off in the AHL. It seems like he's too good for it. And then you also have Järventie on the third line. He was up and down from Belleville in the first year, just like in real life. 16 goals, 29 points, playing in the bottom six last year. Yeah, about 10 minutes a night, fourth line ice time. Pretty good. He's going to move up to the third line now and get a little more ice time. He does have top six potential still, so he could grow a little bit more, and he's another player who really fits these coaches' lines, so I love that. Baines is a player that I got from Vancouver. When I traded away Tarasenko, I traded him for a second-round pick, and this guy, Baines, high top 9 forward potential. I had never really heard of this guy, undrafted, but I looked him up in real life. He has pretty good stats on the Canucks farm team, and he grew, and he fits this coach's schemes, looking like he could be a pretty good bottom 6 forward too. So yeah, the trade for Tarasenko was a second-round pick, and this guy, a depth forward. Hopefully the Sens can get a first for Tarasenko in real life, but who knows? I thought this was a pretty good return, though. If we got a second-round pick and the guy who can eventually make our bottom 6 forwards, I think that would be pretty good result in real life. And I should mention as well, Kubalik, I think I just traded him for like a 5th or 6th round pick. Even the AI in this game didn't really value him at all, just like GMs in real life, which I think is very funny. Scott Laughton is also here. The trade for Scott Laughton was Eric Brandstrom and 2 4th-round picks. I just felt like Eric Brandstrom is a player that they're definitely going to move on from in real life, so I had to do it in this game too. And we also know that Pierre Dorion was really interested in Scott Laughton. Different management now, but maybe they still see him as a fit. And he's just really good for your bottom 6 in this game. Really good defensive stats, face-offs, and those physical stats. I think that this is a player that everyone would love if the Sens brought him in real life. Just on a nice contract too. It looks like I'll have to extend him after this season, but let's see. So the first year he was still on the Flyers, 44 points. Then I brought him in. He got a little less ice time on our team, so only 35 points, but with 12 minutes a night, 35 points is pretty good, and like no power play time. He only had 1 power play point, but he's like first line penalty kill. This is a player I would like the Sens to bring in real life, so I'm pretty happy with the acquisition there. Even though Brandstrom still has a little bit of potential, he's not going to grow much in this game. So he's over in Philadelphia now, and we wish him the best in this universe. And then for the D-core, Chabot and Sanderson, I did extend Chychrun. This is the point where his contract was expiring and he needed a new one. He doesn't simulate that well in terms of points, it seems to me. Only 29 points in the last season, which I think is the reason I was able to get him for so cheap, and only 38 points in the first season, which is less than he's on pace for in real life, but he still simulates pretty well. We got to the playoffs with him playing 23 minutes, 48 seconds a night, so I think that's worth it to re-sign him at $5.25 million for 5 years. He's going to cost way more than that in real life, especially with him putting up way more points. This is one thing where I think it's a little unrealistic, is that I don't think we would be able to sign Chychrun for that cheap, and he might even just get traded in real life if the Sens don't like his salary demands. But in this universe, I held on to Jacob Chychrun. If our D-core doesn't simulate too well in the future, he's probably going to be the guy that gets moved to try to get more of a defensive defenseman in there. But for now, keeping him at that contract, I think, is pretty good. Still have Zub. Gannett is here on the third pairing, and then Jamie Oleksiak is the other addition. A 6'7" defenseman would probably make Mark Mathot really happy to have on this team. I don't think that he's a guy that would be available for trade in real life, but in the simulation in this game, you can see in the first season here, I got him at the deadline from Seattle. He got injured, so he only played 3 games. But Seattle was having a horrible season. They wanted to get rid of some contracts at the deadline, and he had 3 years left on his deal, $4.8 million. I was able to make the money work, so I did it. I figured we just needed better defensive depth, and this is the type of player that I think the Sens need in real life. It's another left-handed D, so it might not be as good of a fit in real life because we really just need a right-handed D. But in this game, in the simulation, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of just build a D-core where they all shoot the same way, the same handedness, and it doesn't even matter. So it brought in Oleksiak. I think he's the type of player that the Sens could use, even if he might not be available in real life. He's on the third pair right now, but sometimes I shuffle the pairs around, move him up, move other people down. Like sometimes I'll move like Chabot down, give him a little less ice time for a bit, and so that the game doesn't play him like 26 minutes a night, because the game loves just playing your first pairing like crazy and giving less ice time to the other guys. So I switch it around a bunch to try to even it out a bit. But yeah, Chabot still puts up points like usual, 55 points in our successful season last year. And then Jake Sanderson, he doesn't put up very many points in the simulation. I want to see him put up a lot of points. He got 3 points in this one game that I played, but that was me playing. 26 points in the first season is worse than his rookie season, and then 23, that's even less. And he's also simulating as a -2, which is really frustrating because I feel like his stats are really good overall. Like, look at this defense stats and the skating, and 90 offensive awareness. I thought he would be putting up more points. So I really need to see him scoring more points for the Sens here. With all these X factors, I feel like he should be able to. So a little bit of a question mark here is if Sanderson is going to be worth the $8 million. So far in this simulation, he hasn't been, but he's only 1 year into the contract, so hopefully he can start. I feel like for that price tag, he's got to be at least like 40 to 50 points and like always a plus player in terms of plus minus. So that's interesting to see if Jake Sanderson continues to perform well. Otherwise, in this universe, I might have him on the chopping block a little bit, even though it would never happen in real life. And then I showed the goalies a little bit already, but we got Maude Sogard up here now. It's going to be him and Korpisalo splitting the starts. It was last season too. He played a little bit in Belleville, but then I traded Anton Forsberg halfway through the season to the Blackhawks because they needed a goalie, and I didn't want to carry 3 goalies anymore, which I was doing for a little bit here. So he's 82 overall now. Hopefully he will pass Korpisalo in terms of overall pretty soon, so that he can just play the bulk of the starts. But for now, I'm going to be rotating them based on who plays better. Anyway, Korpisalo, though, had a good bounce back season after the really bad first season. The 3.09 GAA looks kind of bad, but a 907 save percentage. We're obviously giving up a lot of shots, and he's making enough saves. The 24 wins added with the wins that Sogard got and the few that Forsberg got were actually enough to get us into the playoffs here. And he played every playoff game. When I go to playoff stats, look at this. This is the big reveal, is 19 playoff games played for the Sens in 24 to 25. We actually made the third round in the playoffs in the simulation and lost in Game 7. It was heartbreaking. I wish I could pull up the playoff tree. I don't think it will let me since I'm into the next season now. But in the first round of the playoffs, we faced Detroit, and I think we beat them in 7 games. We came back from 3-1 down. Second round, we beat the Bruins, which I think was in 6 or 7 games. And then third round, it was against the Florida Panthers, the Battle of the Kachucks. But unfortunately, the Panthers won it. We got ravaged by injuries. Brady Tkachuk, despite it being the Battle of Kachucks, he got injured in the second or third game, and then he was out for the rest of the series. Scott Lawton got injured too. A couple other guys were injured. I think some of our defensemen were injured. So it was difficult for us to pull that out, but we did get to Game 7 of the third round. In our return to the playoffs, for the first time since 2017, we made it exactly as far as we did last time. Game 7 of round 3. So finally this team had some success with basically the exact same lineup that I showed here. Like, I kept it mostly the same going to the next year. Justin Danforth, he played some games in the playoffs. I got him at the deadline. So that's like one of the only differences here. The decor was exactly the same, and the forwards, I don't think none of these guys are new. They were all on the team last year, other than Baines. He was in the AHL, and Demidov was in the KHL. So it's basically the same team, and yeah, I think it's just gonna be really fun to see if I can get this team to win a cup, because wow, it looks so far off from being a possibility in real life, but we can have fun in Fantasyland in the video game. And I try to do things semi-realistically, you know, instead of just like going out there and just trading for players that are obviously going to simulate really well in this game, but their teams wouldn't give them up in real life. Like, I think the only person I got that wouldn't really be given up is Oleksiak, but that's because Seattle was just simming terrible in this game, and they had him on their trade block. So at that point, I think it was reasonable. And like Scott Lawton, he's beloved in Philadelphia, but he could be someone that if they get a good trade, they would give up. I think he would probably cost more in real life than I gave to them. It was Brancham and 2/4, but you'll take what you can get. I try to get like realistic trade targets instead of just going out and like trading for Pasternak, trading for some stupid stuff like that to just make the team overpowered right away. I like to try to work with what I have. So yeah, that's where I'm at in this save file. I don't know if anyone enjoys looking at this or hearing about what's going on in this little GM mode. Let me know in the comments, because I could definitely simulate more of this and do some more update videos, or even do like a live commentary of simulating through a season or the playoffs or something like that. I'll show a little bit more. We have like about 3 million in cap space, 3.5 million. So there's a little bit of room for flexibility if we need to add any more players. I figured I would also just show the rookie skaters to see anyone else decent. Stephen Holiday is here in Belleville with top 6 forward potential, 82. I didn't change these rosters. This is a roster that I downloaded from the roster sharing, so someone added him in. He's not in the game by default. They gave him pretty good potential, so he might be someone that gets called up during the season. He's definitely going to be on the team next year. He's probably like one of our top prospects, other than Demidov right now. Let's see, who else did I draft? I drafted this guy, Victor Eklund. He was 29th overall, 2025. He's a Swedish winger, so that's another nice prospect added to the pool. Bednarek, I think he was 2nd round, 36th overall in 2024. We added him. EJ Emery we added. When I picked him, I was kind of hoping he was related to Ray Emery. He isn't, but still a right-handed D, 6'4". Since I didn't draft Lev Shunov, hopefully this guy ends up being pretty good, because he was in the same draft later in the first round. This would be with the Detroit draft pick. There is also the fact that we're not supposed to have a first round pick. We're supposed to forfeit one, and I haven't done that yet, but this would be the last year to do it, 2026. So this first round pick I am actually going to have to get rid of. I'm going to wait until the draft order is decided, so that just so I can see, just in case, if it ends up being somehow a lottery pick. But I'll probably just throw this pick away to some team that deserves it for absolutely no value, because unfortunately the Sens are supposed to be subtracted from a first round pick in real life. So I am going to follow that stipulation in this too. Tyler Clevin is here on the team as well. Played a few games last year. He's been up and down from Belleville. I think he played in the playoffs, a couple of games. Yeah, so he's on the third pairing this year as well. Or no, he's the 7th D, so he'll get some ice time. Philippe Dost might be able to get some ice time as a call up as well. Ostapchuk, this guy Nadeau, I don't know where I got him from, but yeah, those are some of the guys who are in the farm team. All of these guys down here. So yeah, that's what I have in this Sens GM mode so far. I think it'll be fun to keep simulating in this game and see what the Sens can do in the future with these little lineup changes. I don't think I've changed the team too radically yet, but if we struggle in the future, there might be some tough decisions of trying to shake up the core, because luckily I didn't have to do it too much to get us back to the playoffs. I just had to shuffle things around a little bit and add some depth players, and we were able to get to the playoffs and have a great run. But it doesn't always work out that you just consistently stay good in this game. Sometimes your players will start to struggle, so might have to make some changes in the future. But yeah, if you enjoyed hearing about this and want to see more of NHL GM mode, I might do a little bit more of this type of thing in the future. I got lots of free time on my hands. So yeah, thanks for watching or listening, and have a good one.